Okay, here we got one on carbon dioxide emissions, historic. So the table shows total carbon dioxide emissions for selected years. And what we're supposed to do is align the data so the output is given as the amount of CO2 emissions in excess of 4,000 million metric tons. So these are, 4,029 million metric tons. So we're supposed to do it in excess of 4,000. So what does that mean? Well, what's in excess of 4,000 here? Well, this means that we're going to have 29 here in excess of 4,000. This would be 285. This would be 566. This would be 1110. This would be 1223. So that's what's in excess of 4,000. So basically, you take that number minus 4,000, and that's your value you're going to use for the output. And the input is given as a number of years since 1980. Okay, well, that one's easy. That's 0. Then we have 10, then 15, and then 20, and then 24. So our real data is being aligned in this fashion rather than as it's given there. So we have to type in that data instead of what was given. So we kind of had to understand what it means here when we're doing the aligning. And so now what we can do is we can go over here and we can hit and enter our data. And as you can see, I've put it in with the data as it is. So now if we look at the graph, well, actually we need to do the calculation first. Let's go over and then we can go up to the logistic and then we can go down to that one. Let's put a vars again, 1. All right, so this is our function we're going to use. And so this time the b is going to be negative. Okay, so it should be a decreasing function, or it should be increasing. Yeah, because it's minus b, and so b being that, it's going to be an increasing function. And so this is what we get. Okay, and so what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that we have our point that's going to be about the inflection is somewhere in here. And so it's concave up here, concave down here. And so now what do they ask for? They want the equation, which we've got already. And then it says some other things. So let's go ahead and write our equation down. Now remember, on this one, we took it from the 4,000. So that means we're going to have to edit our equation. So we'll have an equation, but then we're going to have to edit that. So let's say we have concentration. So maybe we'll have C of Y is equal to, and now we had 1390.487 over, and then we had 1 plus 67.888 e to the minus, and then we had 0.267, and then we have y, because we're using y's. And so that's going to be a million metric tons of CO2. And so then we have with year y, since y years from 1980. Now, are we done? Not really, because remember, this function was moved. And so if we think about it, our initial one, it would have been way up here, but we said subtract off 4,000. So then this would be like this. And it's because we want this close to 0 as possible. And so that was easy to just say, take off 4,000, 29 is pretty close to 0. And so then that happens. And so this is the graph of this, but we need our original graph. So what do we have to do to the outputs? Well, if this is the output here, we have to add 4,000. So this is really plus 4,000 there. So I didn't leave enough space. I thought I might have, but I didn't. And so that's going to be our actual function, is this whole thing plus that 4,000, okay? So that's going to be our value. Now, what does B ask for? So that's A. B says, what effect does aligning the output values have on a scatter plot of the data? Well, it shifts it down, and so it's closer to that horizontal asymptote of y equals 0. So that's kind of the key thing that we want, kind of like why did we do that? That's what we did, and that's starting at 4029, we went down to 29. So that's as close to zero as we could. We could have started and said, okay, well, let's subtract 4029 from all of those, but that's a little harder than just saying, oh, let's subtract 4,000. So that's why we only did the 4,000. All right, what does adding 4,000 to the logistic model have on the output of the model? Well, it puts it back to our original value, okay? And so, if we didn't do that, we wouldn't have the actual value. We couldn't plug in a number and get out the actual number we need closer to the 5,000. We would come up with, something closer to the 1,200 or 1,000, depending on where we were. If we plugged in 22, we would get 1180, something like that, instead of the 5180 maybe. Okay, so that's going to be the key difference, is we get it back to that original value. All right, I think that's all for this one, and that's all I have for this section, so hopefully that helps.